In our previous video, you saw us drill out the damaged chassis and weld in the new one. So in today's video, we are going to be fitting the engine back up. But before we do that, if you take a look here, guys, you've got a downpipe just there and another downpipe there, a primary cat there and a secondary cat just below. Same on this side, primary and secondary. But if you guys are thinking, why am I telling you about this? That's because we have purchased some D-cat downpipes. So what are the benefits of a catless downpipe? Well, because it is a catless downpipe, this means fewer restrictions. This allows the gases to flow more freely through the exhaust, which increases the power. So without a remap, you can achieve around 30 brake horsepower, and with a remap, you can achieve around 120, which is a huge increase for just one modification. And also the exhaust does sound a lot more aggressive, and the turbos have less back pressure, so this reduces the turbo lag and increases the throttle response. Before we actually start working on the D-cat downpipes, we'll do a few other jobs and then we'll install these in and we'll see how they sound. With the shattered windscreen and glass everywhere, the first thing we want to do is remove the windscreen. Using a cutting wire, we started off by slicing through the adhesive with pulling of the wire to the left and right. This slices through the adhesive, so we worked our way all the way around. Once it got to the top of the windscreen, things got a lot more tricky as there was a lot more shattered glass towards the top that was catching onto the wire, which made our job a lot more difficult, but we eventually removed the windscreen. Before we start fitting our parts back onto the flitch, it is vital we use this cavity wax. This cavity wax is going to protect our panels against rust and corrosion. To ensure a solid earth connection, we removed any paint on the earth connecting points. With the majority of parts fitted up to that driver's side flitch, we can now focus on getting the heat shields installed around the engine bay. So the car is ready for the engine, but the engine is not ready for the car. There's still a few jobs left to do on the engine. One of those things are the subframe itself. That needs to be changed because the one that we have right now is the original one that was smashed up. Also, we need to change the manifold as well, so we'll quickly get those jobs done and then we'll get the engine fitted in. With our subframe wedged between the engine and the pallet, we had to raise the engine from the back and the front. That gave us enough room to actually slide the subframe out.
So this is the side which actually got hit. So the inlet manifold also got hit and it's cracked. So we got a replacement part right here which costs about £280 from dealers. So what we'll do is we'll install the new one. Once that's done, we'll start working on the D-cats. So just finished up fitting up the inlet manifolds, so that's all done and out the way. So we're going to start installing the D-cats. Guys, once them D-cats are in and the car's starting, the pops and cracker guys on the AMGs, you can't beat it.
Removing the downpipes now is a lot easier while we have the engine out. If you didn't have the engine out, it'd be a lot more difficult and we would have to literally cut the downpipes out. So first things first, we remove the O2 sensors. We have 4 sensors in total, and then we lift the engine slightly to get any weight off the downpipes. and then it's just a simple matter of just undoing all our bolts. Once the bolts are undone, the downpipe should come straight out. So the stock downpipes come in 2 pieces compared to the 4 pieces that you get with the aftermarket downpipe. Now the reason for having 4 pieces is quite simple, is to make your job easier when it comes to the install, because when the engine is still in the car you have very limited space to actually install the downpipe, so this does make your job a lot easier. We tightened the bolts for the top half of the downpipes, but the bottom half we left a bit loose. The reason for this is because when it comes to installing the exhaust, we want a bit of movement in the bottom half of the downpipes so we can get them lined up with the exhaust. So our engine is finally in and the subframe is nice and secure, as you can see, guys. So Z is just torquing up the subframe bolts right now, getting them all up to spec. Once he's done that, guys, if you take a look up here, you'll see we're missing quite a few parts off the front of the engine. So we are going to start building all that stuff back up. So we have bought quite a few of these little niggly bits I got at the front. So yeah, what I'll do is when we start working that, I'll kind of fast forward it. It is a bit boring to watch, but yeah, we'll get all this built back up. And then what's the plan after that, Z?
Once all that's built back up, then we can start, getting the front panel in and start getting the radiators in as well. Still got to put the exhaust, the prop shaft on. I think what we'll do is we'll do that a bit later on. We'll finish off the front first.
So as you guys know, we had a lot of damage along this side here, and a lot of the parts on this side have been replaced. So we've got a new reservoir tank, we've got the new intercoolers in, along with all these pipes just along here, and the cables. A lot of these cables were damaged, but these obviously repaired them, so they're all back to good condition again. We've got the oil cooler in, along with the oil feed pipes. Along here you've got the rad. So yeah, we are getting closer and closer to actually getting this front end fully back together. But we did order quite a few parts from the dealership. If you guys take a look down here, this under tray has got a few cracks here and there, so we had to replace quite a few of these parts. The arch liners as well on both sides, we had to replace them. Z, what was the price of the arch liner? Because they come in 2 pieces, don't they?
Yeah, so the arch liners actually come in 2 pieces, and one of the arch liners are like £98 plus VAT.
Yeah,
that's
guys,
just one half.
Yeah, it's super expensive, but it's got to be done because no one else is actually selling these arch liners on eBay or Facebook.
Yeah, so we're on the next step now. So we're going to get that radiator in and start connecting up all the pipes. Once that's done, then we can start, getting that front panel in.
So our rads and slam panel are all hooked up, guys. We've even got the Distronic radar as well. So this is obviously the distance radar, so it kind of measures how far you are from the car in front, and if you're too close, it will slow you down. But yeah, everything's all hooked up. If you guys are wondering why we have this cable tie here holding two rads, that's because we have ordered the plastic casing, just like this one, but for the other side. But it's not here yet. So we have ordered quite a few parts from the dealership. None of those parts have arrived yet. I'm guessing they're going to be coming in the next few days. But when they do come, we can obviously get it all hooked up. And we literally plugged everything we could. So when we do plug in the diagnostics machine, you know, if you get any error codes, we know where we've got any issues. So see, what's the next step? Are we going to do suspension or the exhaust?
Yeah, so we're going to move on to now, you know, installing all the suspension on both sides. Once that's done, we need to still put in the prop shaft and the exhaust. Then we're pretty much ready to go. Then we can start, you know, firing up. I mean, before we do that, we're still going to, you know, do an oil change on it, get that coolant in as well. I think it takes about 15 litres of coolant and about 9 litres of oil.
Because of the extent of the damage to the front of the car, we didn't want to reuse any of the old parts because they could be bent. To the eye, they might seem okay, but we didn't want to take that risk because especially when you're driving at high speeds, you don't want to be using dodgy arms. So we purchased a new leg, new hub and arms as well. We cleaned the face of the hub to ensure it's nice and flat for the disc to mount to. With our calipers looking absolutely filthy, we gave them a quick clean. We decided to upgrade our brake pads to the textile pads, which are designed for high-speed braking and more tailored towards performance cars. Even though our current pads, which are Bosch, they had a good amount of meat, but it was worth the upgrade. With the dry shaft installed, we're going to now drain the oil out of the transfer box, and we're going to use a special pump to actually pump in the oil. The transfer box does play a major role in receiving power from the transmission and distributing it to the front and rear axles, activating what Mercedes calls a 4matic system. So it is the next day and we've pretty much fit up the exhaust prop shaft, the legs on both sides. And yeah guys, mechanically this car is pretty much done and we are almost ready to start the car. There's only a few more things left before we do start the car. If you take a look down here, we have got all our oils that we bought from the dealership. So you've got engine oil, transmission and brake fluid and all sorts here. So yeah, we've got pretty much everything we need in terms of the oil. We are going to be draining out the old oil and obviously putting the new one in. All this basically came in total to £412 guys for all those oils, and we got another receipt back there as well for some other parts that we ordered. That was like £467, and then we got a few more receipts that we haven't received just yet. So yeah, we have got quite a few parts coming from the dealership. You know, some of the parts are already here. If you take a look down here guys, you've got the arch liner. I believe this is for the passenger side. These come in two pieces. Lucky for us, this is the back piece, the front piece is fine, so we are saving a little bit of money there. And if you take a look down here, you have got the plastic housing that sits just where these rads are. So it sits like that guys, same as that side. So yeah, my main focus right now is going to be getting this housing fitted onto these rads so they have got proper support, because right now they're being held on by cable ties. And once I've actually fitted these rads up guys, we're going to be pretty much ready to get the fluids in. You know, once we've topped up all the oils, you know, we're going to be starting the car and you guys will hear this car, you know, start up for the first time with the aftermarket downpipes. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to see how that sounds. After draining the engine, it's time to put the new oil in. We went with the Mercedes high performance engine oil. This engine is going to take about roughly 9 litres of oil. So it's now time to fill the coolant, but it's not as straightforward as you think. You can't just pour it in the way we did the engine oil. Things are a bit different. So we have a special device here which is going to create a vacuum. This is going to get rid of any air pockets, because air pockets cause all sorts of issues like overheating and insufficient cooling. So once we've got a proper vacuum and we filled the rads with coolant, this is going to ensure proper coolant circulation.
So this is the auxiliary pump, and the pipe that's going into it at the bottom was actually it had like a little pinhole in there, and it's leaking coolant from there. So what we've done is we just chopped that end off and see if you could stretch it, but that's still not going to work because it needs like a 90-degree bend. So we found this pipe. What we're going to do is chop the pipe right here, then put it onto this pipe, obviously cut it down to size, then slot it in and see how it goes. I mean, just to get it running and see if everything's all right. I mean, maybe later on we'll change it and order it from dealers.
So we had to start the whole vacuum process again because of the leaking pipe. We have temporarily fixed it for now, but we're going to definitely have to change it later on. We're just hoping that it holds just for now so we can get the coolant in. So with the first coolant tank filled, it's now time to fill the second tank. Now on the second tank we were struggling to get suction. We weren't too sure why, so we thought we'd pour it in for now and we'd bleed the coolant after.
You're there.
So it turns out we weren't getting a vacuum because the pipe was not plugged into the rad. But after connecting the pipe, we decided to get another vacuum going. This time round we were unsuccessful again, so we thought let's just pour it in, and then later on we'll bleed the coolant. While pouring in the coolant we realised we had another leak. So we made quite a few rookie mistakes, guys. As you saw down here, we had a pipe that wasn't plugged in, that pipe just back there, and then there's another pipe which is a lot bigger, just underneath this air box that wasn't plugged in either.
Coolant pump pipe that was.
The coolant pump pipe.
Yeah, so that wasn't plugged in. So we're both working on, you know, building up that front end and doing all the plumbing work, and I'm not sure if you done it or I done it, we just missed it out. So what I'll do is I'll put the vacuum system back on, and hopefully we get a vacuum.
So we are doing a 50-50 ratio between coolant and water. We did have to top up the coolant again. Now that we've got the coolant ready, we're going to try the third attempt to get the vacuum going. Now that we've got the vacuum going, you can see the needle is slowly heading towards the yellow bar. Once it hits the lower part of the yellow bar, we are ready to actually start filling in the coolant. Once the coolant starts going in, when it hits the higher part of the green bar, that means the coolant is officially topped up.
So we finally come to that stage, guys, where we're going to fire the beast up. We've got all the rads in, coolant in, engine oil, so it's all running now. Well, it will be running soon. And we see how it sounds with downpipes. And we actually keep it running for a bit as well. One second.
What's wrong?
I don't know, it's not. Is the brake light on in the back?
No. Okay, now it's the brake light's on.
So start it. Ready? You ready?
One sec. Go on. It feels like we're back to square one again. We really thought the car would start. We'll show you guys the new exhaust, how it sounds, and we can just end the video. But no, you fix one issue, you run into another. So this cable attaches to the battery. We're not too sure what it is for, but we thought let's just plug it in, see if it makes a difference.
Go on. No, I think it's this relay, one of these relays on it in. Starter motor one. One second. So we're currently in a situation, the car's not actually starting, so we plugged up the diagnostics, done a health report on it, and just screened down all the faults. This is because we had a lot of the connections disconnected, and it's probably stored the fault codes. Then hopefully give it a try, and hopefully fire up. So we're getting a lot of fault codes in different modules saying the brake fluid is quite low. Obviously you took the calipers off and there's no brake fluid in there. So I thought, we'll get it running and do the brake bleed after. So what we've done is we've topped up the brake fluid to the max level now, so bumped it up. So hopefully we'll give it a go now.
After clearing the fault codes and topping up the brake fluid, we tried to start the car, but it still wouldn't start.
So we've done a bit of diagnostics. The computer wasn't throwing any codes for starter motor. So when you try pressing the start button, there's no live actually going down to the starter motor. So check the two fuses, they're all good. So the last resort is swapping over the relays. Hopefully that will do it. So this is starter motor fuse, guys, relay. So if you bridge these two sections right here, guys, the starter motor actually activates. So that shows the relay is actually faulty. So we're going to replace it with a new one. So just install that new relay, guys. We're going to see if it fires up. Fingers crossed it works.
So it all comes down to this moment. If the car doesn't start, it's going to slow this build down, so fingers crossed it starts.
Carry on.
Yeah, fire up.
We finally fired up the beast, guys, and it sounds amazing.
So you guys heard it yourself, the car sounds absolutely insane with the aftermarket catalyst downpipes. So yeah, we're going to definitely have to get the remap done because that's going to add us extra power as well. And yeah, the front of the car is pretty much done in terms of the structural work and getting the engine back in. I think on the next video we are going to be working on the quarter panel. If you guys should remember, it's absolutely caved in, so that's going to be another big job to do. This is the last part of the major repair work to be done, the quarter panel. So hopefully in the next video we can bash out the quarter panel, get it all fixed up, get the new quarter panel welded in. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to join us on the next video. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Performance Rebuilds, and we'll see you guys on the next video.